Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most unique historical fantasy films ever made, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter from 2012. Directed by Timur Bekmambetov and based on Seth Grahame-Smith's novel, this film asks the question, what if one of America's greatest presidents had a secret life as a vampire slayer? Before we begin, this video contains full spoilers for the entire film. If you haven't seen it yet and want to go in fresh, now's your chance to pause and come back later. For everyone else, let's grab our silver-coated axes and jump in. The film opens in 1818 in Indiana, where we meet 9-year-old Abraham Lincoln and his family. Young Abe witnesses his father Thomas in a confrontation with a plantation owner named Jack Bartz over wages. Thomas had helped a young black boy escape, and Bartz is furious about it. That night, something terrible happens. Bartz enters the Lincoln home and attacks Abe's mother, Nancy. She becomes gravely ill with what appears to be a mysterious sickness, and despite Abe's desperate prayers, she dies. Young Abe watches helplessly as his mother passes away, and his father reveals that Bartz is responsible. We then jump forward to 1825. Abraham is now a young man, and he's spent years obsessing over his mother's death. He's finally tracked down Jack Bartz and plans to take his revenge. Armed with a gun, Abe confronts Bartz in a dark warehouse and shoots him point blank. But here's where things get supernatural. The bullets have no effect. Bartz reveals his true nature. He's a vampire. He easily overpowers Abe, lifting him by the throat. Bartz taunts the young man about killing his mother and is about to finish him off when a mysterious stranger intervenes. This stranger is Henry Sturgis, and he saves Abe's life by driving Bartz away. Henry takes Abe under his wing and reveals the truth. Vampires are real. They've infiltrated American society, and they're particularly prevalent in the South, where they can easily feed on slaves without anyone noticing or caring. Henry offers to train Abe to become a vampire hunter, but with strict conditions. Abe must dedicate himself completely to the mission. He cannot have a family or pursue relationships. And most importantly, he must never hunt a vampire while angry. Revenge clouds judgment and will get him killed. We see Abe undergo intense training with Henry. He learns that vampires are incredibly strong and fast, but they have weaknesses. Silver is lethal to them, and Henry teaches Abe to become a master with a silver-coated axe. The training sequences show Abe developing incredible skill and physical prowess. Years pass, and in 1837, Abe moves to Springfield, Illinois, to begin his secret mission. He works at a general store by day, and Henry feeds him intelligence about vampire locations at night. Henry appears sporadically to give Abe his targets, and Abe hunts them down with his signature axe. During this time, Abe meets several people who will become important in his life. There's Will Johnson, a free black man who becomes his close friend and confidant. Abe also meets Mary Todd at a social gathering. She's intelligent, outspoken, and immediately catches his attention. Despite Henry's warnings about not forming attachments, Abe is drawn to her. Abe also becomes friends with Joshua Speed, who owns the store where he works, and Speed's younger sister. Through these relationships, we see Abe living a double life: the friendly, thoughtful young man by day, and the ruthless vampire hunter by night. His vampire hunting continues successfully. We see several action sequences where Abe tracks down his targets and eliminates them with his axe. But he's still haunted by the desire to kill Jack Bartz, the vampire who murdered his mother. Eventually, Henry gives Abe what he's been waiting for: the location of Jack Bartz. In a tense confrontation, Abe finally faces his mother's killer again. This time, he's ready. The fight is brutal, but Abe manages to kill Bartz with his silver axe. finally avenging his mother's death. But the victory is bittersweet. Abe believed that killing Bartz would bring him peace, but he still feels empty. Henry tells him that revenge doesn't work that way. The mission is bigger than personal vendetta. Against Henry's explicit instructions, Abe pursues a relationship with Mary Todd. He's fallen in love with her, and she with him. He decides he wants a normal life alongside his mission. Abe and Mary marry, and he also decides to pursue a career in politics, believing he can fight the vampire threat on a larger scale. Abe begins to understand something crucial. The vampires aren't just random predators. They're part of a larger conspiracy. The vampire elite are supporting slavery because it gives them an unlimited food supply. Enslaved people can disappear without anyone in power caring, making them perfect prey. Abe meets Adam, an ancient and powerful vampire who is essentially the leader of the vampire nation in America. Adam makes it clear that he and his kind have a vested interest in preserving slavery and will oppose anyone who threatens it. As Abe rises in politics, tragedy strikes his personal life. His young son William becomes ill and dies. Abe is devastated, and we see the toll that his double life has taken. Henry appears again, and there's tension between them. Abe chose family over the mission, and now he's paid a terrible price. Despite his grief, Abe continues his political career. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln is elected President of the United States. The southern states secede, and the Civil War begins. But Abe knows this isn't just a war between states. It's a war against vampires who are protecting their food source. Adam and the vampire elite are backing the Confederacy, and they're turning Confederate soldiers into vampires to create an unstoppable army. The vampires can fight during the night, and regular weapons can't kill them. The Union forces are facing supernatural enemies, and they're losing badly. Abe realizes he needs help, and he reaches out to Henry for guidance. In a shocking twist, Henry reveals his own secret. He's also a vampire. Henry was turned long ago and has spent centuries fighting against his own kind, training hunters like Abe to combat the vampire threat. At first, Abe feels betrayed, but he comes to understand that Henry has been a true ally all along. They need a strategy to defeat Adam's vampire army. Abe hatches a desperate plan. The Union needs weapons that can kill vampires. They need silver. Abe orders that every piece of silver in the North be confiscated and melted down. Silverware, jewelry, everything is collected. The silver is transported by train to Gettysburg, where Union forces are preparing for the battle. But Adam learns of the plan and attacks the train with his vampire forces. The action sequence here is intense. Vampires assault the moving train, and Abe, along with Will, Speed, and other allies, must defend the precious cargo. Henry joins the fight, battling against his own kind. The train sequence is filled with spectacular action as vampires leap between cars and the heroes fight them off. We see Abe once again wielding his axe with the skill Henry taught him years ago. During the battle, Speed's sister is killed by vampires, adding to the personal stakes. Will Johnson fights bravely alongside Abe. The train is severely damaged, and they're forced to improvise. Adam himself confronts Abe on the train. They fight, and Abe realizes he's outmatched. Adam is far older and more powerful than any vampire he's faced before. Just when it seems Adam will win, Henry intervenes for a final time. Henry fights Adam, giving Abe time to complete the mission. In a heroic sacrifice, Henry holds off Adam, while urging Abe to get the silver to the troops. In the climactic final confrontation, Abe faces Adam one last time. Using everything Henry taught him and the silver axe that has served him throughout his life, Abe manages to defeat the ancient vampire, striking a decisive blow against the vampire conspiracy. With Adam destroyed and the vampire army defeated at Gettysburg, the war begins to turn in the Union's favor. The vampire conspiracy that supported the Confederacy has been broken, and without their supernatural backing, the Southern states' defeat becomes inevitable. The film shows us that the Emancipation Proclamation and the Union victory weren't just political and military achievements. They were victories against a supernatural evil that had been feeding on enslaved people for generations. We see Abe continuing his presidency, knowing that he's accomplished something far greater than most historians will ever realize. He's not just preserved the Union and freed the enslaved. He's broken the power of the vampires in America. The film ends on April 14, 1865, at Ford's Theater. In a final coda, we see that Henry survived his confrontation with Adam. In the modern day, Henry approaches a new person with information about vampires, suggesting that the secret war continues into the present and new hunters are still needed. And that's Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. This film takes a wild premise. What if Lincoln was secretly fighting vampires and commits to it fully? It reimagines the Civil War as not just a conflict over slavery and states' rights, but as a supernatural battle between humanity and vampires. The movie works as both an action-packed fantasy and an alternate history that uses vampirism as a metaphor for the real evil of slavery. What did you think of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter? Do you think the premise works, or is it too ridiculous? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more plot summaries and movie analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.